All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something you probably think you have a handle on, Gothic horror. But I promise you, its modern form is hiding in places you would never ever expect. So yeah, forget the ancient castles. We're on the hunt for the ghosts in your Wi-Fi.
Seriously, think about it. When you hear that word Gothic, this is pretty much the image that pops into your head, right? It's a whole vibe. Dark, mysterious, and just dripping with this history that feels, both super romantic and absolutely terrifying at the same time.
But here's the twist. What if the genre has totally moved on? What if the things that really haunt us these days aren't some spooky specters rattling chains in old buildings, but the unsettling pressures and the technologies of our own everyday lives?
And that's exactly what we're going to get into. We're going to see how the whole Gothic genre has busted out of its traditional spooky confines to tap into the very specific fears of the 21st century. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the setting. I mean, the haunted house is the absolute cornerstone of classic Gothic. But what we even consider a haunted space today? Oh, it has radically changed. So this is our starting point, right? The grand, decaying estate. The misty ruins on some lonely, forgotten moor. These places are huge, they're isolated, and they are literally filled with the ghosts of the past.
Now, check this out. This is where things get interesting. Back then, the horror was all about getting lost in some endless, pitch-black corridor of a massive mansion. But today, the horror can be the complete opposite. It's that intense, suffocating feeling of a tiny apartment where there's just nowhere to run. The psychological pressure just builds and builds and builds. And here's another huge shift. The lonely castle on the hill has been swapped out for a totally modern fortress of solitude, the cold, humming, and deeply, deeply impersonal data center. I mean, think about it. It's a place that holds all our deepest secrets, but it feels completely alien. It's a whole new kind of haunting. So you see, the new haunted spaces are the ones we're living in every single day. It's that smart home that, might be listening just a little too closely. It's that app on your phone that knows your habits better than you know yourself. It's that constant, overwhelming dread that comes from being connected all the time, but somehow feeling more alone than ever. Of course, these new haunted spaces need a new kind of ghost to haunt them. And this is where modern Gothic gets really unsettling, because it trades in the supernatural for something a lot closer to home, the systemic. The classic villain was, well, it was a thing. You could see it. A vampire, a ghost, some cloaked figure with a knife. The threat was physical, it was identifiable. It was something you could at least try to fight back against. But today's ghosts, they're invisible systems. Our monsters are things like that creeping, chilling feeling of digital surveillance, like something straight out of Black Mirror. Or it's that subtle loss of your own free will to an algorithm that's deciding what you see, what you buy, maybe even what you think. I mean, how do you fight a feeling? How do you escape a system that's literally designed to keep you inside of it? So, to face down these invisible, systemic monsters, you're gonna need a completely different kind of hero. And the person navigating this new kind of hellscape, well, they look a lot more like you and me. Yeah, gone is the classic damsel in distress who is usually pretty passive, just a victim of whatever was happening to her. The modern Gothic hero could not be more different. They're active, they're complex, they're deeply flawed, and a lot of the time, their biggest enemy is their own mind. And the things they're fighting are just so relatable. They're not just running from a physical ghost, they're battling burnout from a 24/7 work culture. They're fighting the dopamine loops of digital addiction, and they're just desperately trying to find something real and authentic in a world that can feel so incredibly fake. The horror is all internal. And this all leads to a really fascinating new take on a classic Gothic trope, madness. In the old stories, it was this big, dramatic, over-the-top descent into insanity. But today, Gothic madness looks a lot more like anxiety disorders, depression, and burnout, things that are just frighteningly common in our high-pressure world. The horror isn't the strangeness, it's the relatability. So, with all these changes, new settings, new villains, new heroes, why are we still so drawn to this stuff? Why does Gothic horror continue to have such a powerful grip on our imagination? Well, it's because the core reason we love it has never ever changed. At its heart, Gothic storytelling has always been a safe way for us to face the things that scare us the most. It's a way to process our fears, a cathartic release. And here's how it really works for us right now. One, it gives us a framework, a way to talk about the really unsettling parts of modern life. Two, it shows us that fear itself is timeless. We're not alone in feeling this way. And three, it proves that while the monster might change its costume, the terror it represents is basically eternal. And that right there is the key takeaway. The real reason this genre is not only still with us, but actually thriving, is because it is unbelievably adaptable. It just keeps changing to reflect the fears of every new generation, which makes it feel like it's always talking directly to us. Which leaves us with one final question to chew on. The classic monsters, the vampires and ghouls, they might be gone. But the hauntings, they are far from over. So take a look at your phone, your social media feed, your own anxieties, and ask yourself, what ghosts are haunting you?